In the Bible, there are often characters that get brief mentions or are just hardly talked about because their stories are short or don't have a huge amount of significance to the overarching narrative of the Bible. I'm here today to shed light on these less talked about characters in my new series, Obscure Bible Characters. I'm Not So St. Thomas, and this is Obscure Bible Characters, Episode 1, Jael. So, just going into this, just know that I'm probably going to mispronounce a bunch of these names, but I'll say them with confidence so you won't even notice. Jael appears in Judges 4, which describes the Battle of Mount Tabor. Let's read 4:12 to 22 to see her story, but before that, let's add a little context, presented as a quick overview. As you may know, the book of Judges presents a cycle that some have taken to calling the Judges cycle. The cycle is presented in a few ways, but it basically goes like this. Israel serves the Lord and things are good. Israel forgets God and things get bad. Israel remembers God, so God raises up a judge to lead them. Israel is delivered from hardship and things get good again. Rinse and repeat. At the time, the judge over Israel was Deborah. She had instructed Barak to go to war with Sisera, who had a very formidable army. Barak refused to go unless Deborah went with him. Deborah agreed to go, but then also informed Barak that his victory would not be his glory, but that Sisera would get delivered into the hands of a woman. That woman is Jael, so let's read. When Sisera was told that Barak, the son of Abinoam, had gone up to Mount Tabor, Sisera called out all his chariots, 900 chariots of iron, and the men who were with him from Harosheth-Hagoyim to the river Kishon. And Deborah said to Barak, Up, for this is the day in which the Lord has given Sisera into your hand. Does not the Lord go out before you? So Barak went down from Mount Tabor with 10,000 men following him. And the Lord routed Sisera and all of his chariots and all of his army before Barak by the edge of the sword. And Sisera got down from his chariot and fled away on foot. And Barak pursued the chariots and the army to Harosheth-Hagoyim, and all of the army of Sisera fell by the edge of the sword. Not a man was left. But Sisera fled away on foot to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, for there was peace between Jabin, the king of Hazor, and the house of Heber the Kenite. And Jael came out to meet Sisera and said to him, Turn aside, my lord, turn aside to me, do not be afraid. So he turned aside to her into the tent, and she covered him with a rug. And he said to her, Please give me a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. So she opened a skin of milk and gave him a drink and covered him. And he said to her, Stand at the opening of the tent, and if any man comes and asks you, Is anyone here? Say, No. But Jael, the wife of Heber, took a tent peg and took a hammer in her hand. She then went softly to him and drove the peg into his temple until it went down into the ground, while he was laying fast asleep from weariness. So he died. And behold, as Barak was pursuing Sisera, Jael went out to meet him and said to him, Come, and I will show you the man whom you are seeking. So he went into her tent, and there lay Sisera dead, with the tent peg in his temple. We can see here exactly what Deborah had prophesied come to pass. Sisera was delivered into the hands of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. She pretended to be hospitable, but when his guard was down, she killed him. Now, why is her story important? Despite its short length, their story gives us a small example of a woman fighting back. What I mean by that is this. Sisera was leading the army of Jabin, the king of Hazor, an enemy of God at this point. He was fighting God's people. He, for all intents and purposes, is the serpent in this story. In the Garden of Eden, Eve was tricked by a serpent, and the story of Jael is the story of a woman tricking the serpent. It also teaches us an important lesson for our own lives. Act on the opportunities God gives you with the tools he gave you. Jael was a Bedouin. Her people were not at war with Sisera, so why did she act? We aren't told what exactly she was thinking, but we can take a couple of guesses. It's possible she was never planning on killing him, but got a feeling later that she needed to. It's possible she was waiting to give him up to his pursuers, but when she saw none, she acted herself. Or it could have been another thing entirely. We don't know exactly, but what we do know is that when she decided to act, she did so without hesitation, and with what she had available. This tent was occupied only by a woman, so there was likely not any real weapons around. So she thought fast and used a tent peg, something she was probably very used to using. Take this lesson yourself as well. Use the opportunities God gives you with the tools you have available. You might not have exactly what you think you need, but you can always find other ways. After all things are possible with God. I'd like to give a special thanks to both of my church's full-time pastors for this video. One of them for giving me the idea to do a series about less-known Bible characters, and the other one for giving a sermon about Jael on Mother's Day. And with that, I'll leave you with my favorite Irish blessing. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and the rains fall soft upon your fields. Until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.